Hi guys, good evening and welcome Anjali, JK, Kailash. Um, Today we're gonna discuss ahead in the same topic. I hope you have gone through with the video. Anjali, you were not available yesterday, so I believe you have gone through with the lecture or the video part of the previous lecture, right? So it's in a continuation of the same lecture basically. I'm giving my effort to this kind of lectures, basically lecture series, so that actually we should record everything related to this C programming or this course, and later we can use this for other learning purposes as well. Okay, so without wasting time, let me jump onto the topic and let us continue with the same part that we have left on yesterday. Okay, so we were discussing about structure. What we have discussed is that what is structure and how do we use it, why to use it in the programming languages, and if we are going through with the structure, what will be the syntax, right? So we have understood this thing yesterday and we have gone through with this small code where we have discussed about the tabular format of data, and we had two different variables, like we wanted to print the record of the student, and if we are going with couple of student information, and the information is right now we are talking about two different information, name of the student and marks obtained, right? Then we have made this small program where we have seen if we want to run this program, and it should be running it for 3 times, right? So it should print the entire information. And yesterday what happened was, like, this was the code, right? This was the code. So because this section, these three line of code is actually used couple of times inside this for loop. So what we can do, we can instead like cut this area and we can make a separate function for that, so that this thing could be repeated from this same function only. So instead of using these lines couple of times by the compiler, we can directly use this specific function, print data, and within bracket s1. So what we have done, we have made a function of such category where there is an argument, but this argument must be of a structure type only, right? So here we have made a particular element, right, of this is of this particular argument, and that is s. So what will happen, so whatever information we are entering here, right, so that is with respect to s1. So s1 is the element right now for this particular structure, right? You can say it's a kind of object right now. So this element is actually referring two different data types, that is name and marks. Okay, so whatever user is entering, so here we are taking input from user, right? So whatever user is entering, that is going to store into this s1, right? So s1 dot name, s1 dot marks. So whatever will be stored in s1 variable, and that will be a part of record, and inside record we have two different things, right? So whatever we are storing into s1, that we have referred to this function which we have made with the name called print data, right? So inside this print data, everything whatever is stored in s1 will be passed, will be referred to s. Okay, so now you can change this name also, you can directly write student, something like this, or whatever you want to give the name of. So I have given s. Okay, so data of s1 will be passed or redirected to s1, sorry, s, right? So this s further can be utilized to print those information which is actually available inside this s1, right? So this is how we can use this function. Okay, so we can declare this function also ahead or above in this program somewhere here, right? Yeah, so like this is a particular program to use your structures in the program. Okay, what if, like, I want to use only for two student, I want to make it for two student entries. Okay, so I can use it for two students like this. So I have made first entry database for s1, and the second entry database is for s2. Okay, so similarly I can use this thing, right? I can copy the entire data here or code, and paste. Instead of S1, I can use it for S2, and similarly here for S2. Okay, so we need to call this function twice. We have to call this function twice now for both these students, right? And let me run this code first, just to show you whether how it is working. And what is this? Print data is record. Yeah, this is just wait for a second. So no, previous declaration of print data was here. Okay, so maybe there was part of comma colon or something like this. Okay, yeah, this bracket is not needed here. So let me run it once again. Now what happened? Print data struct S2 S1. What if I'll just remove this area? Let's check it once more. Okay, there may be the ambiguity in this particular declaration, right? So yeah, so we have to enter it for the first user or first student. Suppose this is SOR, and the percentage of marks that he's obtained is 70. The another name is maybe Ashu, one of my colleague, and 60%. Yeah, so what happened is we have entered the details of a user, right? The name and marks consecutively for both the users, and we have printed those information at a time with this particular function column. Okay, so this is how you can go with multiple record. So this was quite easy. With respect to what? The two input only for two different users. But what if like we'll have 10, 20, 50, 100 entries? Let me show you the problem now. Yeah, so what we are discussing is that if we have suppose this is a table. Inside this table we have name and marks, right? So we have student number 1, student number 2, like this, right? But what if we are talking about hundreds of students as 100, right? So do you really think we'll be entering every single detail like this, and every time we'll declare S1, S2, S3, S4 like in this code which we have declared earlier? Here we have declared S1, S2, S3. Likewise, we need to declare 100 number of users, right? And this is not possible. This is not possible, right? So what can happen is, instead of writing these number of names, we can simply create array of structure, right? Array of structure means like the definition will start like this: struct, suppose the name of the structure was record. So here inside this, the number of user that we are actually mentioning are S1, S2, S3 like this, likewise S100. Instead of this, what we'll write, will make a array of those elements. So those elements are, suppose I have given the name, maybe I'll remove it. Yeah, so S of 100 only. So what will happen? This is called as the array of structure. This is the array of this structure. The structure is of record. So we have made a table where in this record table, name of the table is record. What we have done, we have made two entries only: name of and marks. We may have 3, we may have 4, 5, 6, 7 number of columns also, right? So these many number of variables or data types need to be given in this structure. And how we are giving it? So yesterday we have made a structure like this: record, right? and inside this there was a character name, right? This was for suppose 50 letters long and column. Yeah, okay. So an int marks, right? This is how we have made the structure. So what if we have 3 column, 4 column, 5 column? So we can give like this: int maybe phone number, ph, right? Int maybe rule number, ROLLN, or like this, right? So we can declare n number of data types over here, but this structure can only be utilized for one single user only. But whenever we are actually declaring number of variables to use basically for n number of users, right? We just don't want it for student number 1, student number 2, right? We want it for hundreds of students, thousands of students, right? So we can actually declare a particular array of that particular structure. Okay, so if we'll create those structure, how to use them? So how to use this structure in the program? So let us just check whether how we'll use this particular array of structure in the program. Okay, so instead of s1 s2, what we can do directly here, s of suppose 3, s of 3. Here we can go for 3 number of different student entries. Okay, so we can write here s of 0, because array starts from the indexing of array starts from 0, right? So s of 1 and s of 1. Similarly, if we just copy paste entire thing, yeah, so here we can put it for s2. Yeah, so this is called as index, right? In the index of an array. So similarly, instead of printing it with s1 like this, we have to print it through the indexing only. So s of 0, or you can directly write s of I, and we can put here a for loop for int I 0 till I less than equal to 2 I plus plus, right? So how well we are doing it? Only once we are declaring it, and we can take n number of times the entries of this particular data into the same table, right? Which we have made it with the record name called record. Okay, so here the amount of lines of code are getting decreased because of two reasons: that we have made this function first, and second is that we have made an array of structure. Okay, so let me run this code now. Yeah, so name of the student is suppose SOR, number of marks obtained are 90, second student is Ashu, marks obtained are 80, third is LNB, and marks obtained are suppose 70. So all three entries, the first entry, second entry, and third entry, because of this for loop, right, it's getting printed one by one. So s of 0 initially has been printed, then s of 1, s of 2, like that. Okay, so this is a small example that we have seen it for array of structure. So let me copy this to your notes. Day 18, yeah, right, array of structure. Okay, so this is how we have gone through with the another topic inside the topic called structure, and that was array of structures. Now we'll see an example for nested structure. What will be the need of this nesting for structures, right, and how to use them practically in the code. Okay, so let's get back to the term here for nested structures. Okay, so nesting of loops, nesting of conditions, right, and nesting of structures. So how to why do we need nesting, by the way? First of all, let us discuss about it. Okay, so suppose we have this table, but here suppose there is a student number 1, student number 2, student number 3, and they both are sibling, right? They both are sibling. So name, maybe marks, and phone number, right? So name could be maybe Sor and Ashu, right? And here marks are 80, this is 90, and phone number is same. Suppose X is the phone number, similarly X is the phone number for both of them, right? So if your entry is same, so why to give it for multiple times? Similarly, there could be an address, maybe location or city, right? Suppose name is city. The element or the column name is city, right? For all the users. So for S1 till S100, okay, for all the users. So there could be three cities, suppose Jaipur, maybe Jodhpur, or maybe suppose Delhi, right? So for some of the students here, maybe 30 students are from Jaipur, 40 students are from Jodhpur, 30 students are from Delhi, like that. Okay. So what will you do? Will you write this information in multiple variables? No, because this information is same. This information is same. This information is same. So for such use cases where the information is coming up with the same context, okay. So there we can use nesting of structures, right? Nesting of structures. So how to actually go through with this nesting of structures? Let us try to check that practically. Okay. So first of all, let us make a structure, a struct, suppose with a name called record, right? And here there are two things, maybe character, name, the same one which we are using earlier as well, right? And then int, that is marks, right? The another structure is there. This is the another structure, right? Struct, maybe these two records are going to be used for library, right? So lib, or maybe for something else, fee management, suppose, right? So fee, okay. So inside this we have to have one more parameter, and the name of this parameter is fees submitted. So like I have given a name called fees, right? Fees submitted, and then we need to use both the parameters also, both the parameter also. So instead of using these two parameters here, because this structure can be also utilized separately, it can be utilized separately, it can be utilized with the embedding also, with the another structure, right? So we have got another structure with the name called fee, and here one another structure is record. So both of them are going to be used jointly, right? So what we can do, we can actually use this structure here inside this. So struct record, maybe s, right? So this specific calling, or this specific declaration, right, of the structure, of the first structure that we have actually declared here for the name called record, right? This thing you can indirectly think like in that way also. Yeah, so this entire area, the entire definition is actually going to be used inside this another structure, and this is called as nesting. Yeah, so we are actually having first uh, first structure with the name called fees, right? Inside this we have another structure called record, and this is called as nesting, right? Inside this record also, if suppose there is a big umbrella is there, which is called as college, right? Inside this college there could be fees. Inside fees there could be record. Inside record there could be category of student, right? Maybe good or bad, right? Likewise there could be nesting of structures. So we have got to know that how we can declare this structure part. Basically we have to make two different structure, but one of the structure which we have defined out of these two, right, should be utilized inside the another structure. Likewise, if we have five structures and one by one they are being used inside each of them, right? Maybe first is being used in second is used being in third, right? Likewise in fourth and then fifth, right? So the hierarchy is starting from first one, then second, then third and fourth and fifth. So maybe from top to down approach or down to top approach. So this is how you can use nesting in these structures, and it's a very specific use case where you have repetition of same thing, same information. So instead of repeating those information with different variables, we can directly use it for one of the structure. Okay, so let us see the example here practically. Also we have first structure with the name called record. The another structure, let's make it with the name called fee, right? And inside this let us make another variable called fees, and let us call the first structure record also, record s1. Cool. So instead of record, just let us make it for fees, right? And fees it with the three different students. Suppose s1, maybe let's talk about first student only. Let us just not mix your array of structures and nesting of structures, both of them together. We can use both of them together to make it more meaningful, right? But it will be little more complex then, right? So we have got first student, to which we have to talk about the fees as well as records both. Okay, so the first parameter is fees. So we have to actually call s1, right? We have to call s1 to call this name, right? But s1 will call this name and marks, but we have to call here with the name called s, right? So this s variable is going to be used for fees, for name, for marks, for all three variables, right? How we'll utilize it, let us see about it. Okay, so how do we join the structure element with the data types? With dot, right? This dot is going to help us to join both of them together, right? Similarly we'll be using s variable to join with these dots also. Okay, so let me ask the user for printing or entering the fees. Enter your fees, right? Then scanf, we're talking about int, so percentile d comma percentile or ampersand s dot fees, right? So this is quite clear. S dot fees means directly this s will go to this fees. Okay, and whatever will be entering will be stored in this variable, right? But now instead of s of 0, we need to go with s of name, right? Yeah. So now instead of this, because the structure name is record, right? So instead of name, here we need to actually join it with record dot name, record dot marks, right? Similarly, yeah, this was for another user. Let us not make it. Let me clear it. Yeah, so these three entries is just for first user. Let us not make it more complex. This section is for printing the information s1. Okay, And here we have got three information. Let us properly print for all three. Your fees or fee is, right? Let us properly write or print these three information. S dot fees but s dot record dot name record dot marks, right? So let us try to run this code. Something maybe semicolon or bracket where it is before print or somewhere. Yeah, here semicolon. Yeah, run. Then let me run this code. Now before s or somewhere again semicolon or some problems are there. It was not fees, it was fee only, because this was the structure name. Fee was the structure name, right? Fees is the variable. Yeah. Again, there's a problem with joining the variables. Just give me a minute. Yeah, so one more thing, because here we have represented this record with s1, right? So instead of record, we can directly write it to s1. Yeah, so s dot s1 dot name. If we have not declared this, then we have to use record as a name, right? Because record is a structure, so this s1 will refer it to name and marks. Okay, so let me run this code now. Similarly here as well, this will be s1, this will be s1. Scanf print s. Okay, instead of print s, where it is, print d, semicolon is there, where it is, record s dot fees, this is correct, s dot s1 dot name s dot s1 dot marks, also correct. Here s dot s1 dot name s dot s1 dot marks, also correct. Yeah, so let us figure out this thing. Struct record has no member of fees, and before that there's an error of semicolon somewhere, and that is the yeah, here for the structure we should have, for this structure we should have semicolon first. Yeah, that was the problem only. Here again we're going somewhere down here. S dot fees. Not record here, it should be fee only. Yeah, this should be changed. So we have to enter the fee. Suppose it was 1000. The name of the student is SOR. Number of marks or amount of marks has been obtained is 80. So your fee is 1000 rupees. Your name is SOR and your marks are 80%. Here let me write it for backslash and also, right? So we were doing some mistake here with some semicolon, because this is the you know this is the structure part where we have to go through with the proper syntax of structure, and the syntax tells that we should have semicolon over here. So we missed this semicolon. Because of that, there was a kind of mistake or error was coming up. Okay, so we have declared this particular structure, right? This is structure of S for fees, right? So this S will represent it to, or will call it to, the fee. And this fee, because inside this fee we have another variable, or you can say another element. This element can call all the data types or values of this particular structure called record, right? So through S will call S1, through S1 will call name, right? So this is how we are linking this nesting. Again, I'm telling it once again. So S will call it to S1, and S1 will call the parameter inside this particular structure called record. Okay, so this is how we are linking everything. Okay, and then whatever is happening inside this S only, right? So S dot fees, S dot S1 dot name, S dot S1 dot marks. So if we'll pass this variable S into this function, print function, then this S, the information inside this S will be passed to this variable. You can rename it. Okay, right now, because this code is running, so we can edit it with any name, right? You can name it as student or something like this, but you have to give the same name over here in this code, right? So if you'll write here student, then there should be student dot fees, student dot s1 dot name, student dot s1 dot marks, like that. Okay, so let me name it as SOR. Then enter your name, enter your marks. We missed this information called name. Okay, got it. We made some mistake. Yeah, so I need to run this code once again. So fees that we have entered is 700. Name the student is SOR, and marks obtained are 100%. Suppose. Yeah, this is how we can go through with the nesting of structures, right? So let me copy this so that I can give it to you also for today in nesting of structures. So what we have studied about these two topics, nesting and array of structures. Then we'll talk about pointers. Pointer is somewhat quite confusing for you. It should be confusing for you initially, right? So we'll discuss it tomorrow, right? We'll just discuss about pointers to structures only tomorrow, right? And then structure to function. Yeah, so structure to function means, like this case, this is what we are going through with this, right? Here inside this function we are passing this particular structure directly, right? So this is how you can just pass n number of variables if you want to work with multiple structures at a time in a same function. You can go with comma and write multiple number of variables if you want as an argument of this function. Okay, you can return some information also if you want, like of integer type or floating type or something else also. Okay, so this is called as functions or structure to function. Then type def and type def versus define. Okay, so we have two things now. There are two things, right? One is keyword and another is preprocessor. So what is preprocessor? Suppose this is your program, and inside this program initially you are writing hash include, right? So this hash actually used to be or this hash is called as preprocessor, by the way. So whatever next you are writing here, this keyword or this thing will be actually compiled by this preprocessor. So compiler will only compile the code part, right? But this preprocessor will first of all compile the first part of the program, and which is called as preprocessor part. So so entire program has got divided into two part. First of all, preprocessor will be compiled, and then the another information that is called as code will be compiled. Okay, so the entire data will be compiled together and will form a result. So you will get a result at the end, right? If there is a problem inside preprocessor, then you will not go ahead with the code. Okay, this is how you'll get the information related to your errors, right, easily. So the another part is called as keyword. So we have type def, right? So this is one of the keyword. We have multiple keyword also.